What if I told you that it's not in 6 months, nor in a year, but that it's now that it begins? What if I told you that what you've been feeling in your heart for the past few days, this foreboding, this strange calm mixed with excitement, is no coincidence? You may think you're the one who's overthinking it, but what you're feeling is spiritual, it's divine, because Allah never forgets sincere prayers, and when He decides to send you, He does so quietly, but with precision. You're not here by chance. You're in this video because confirmation awaits you, so stay tuned until the end, because what you're about to hear could be the answer your heart has been waiting for so long. 1. The invisible taking shape. There are things you cannot explain, but your soul feels before your tongue can even name them. Like that sensation that something is happening, that your heart is beginning to beat with a different rhythm for no apparent reason. It's as if a part of you has heard a call, silently, voicelessly, but a call nonetheless. Allah works in dimensions you cannot see. He makes no noise. He does not seek to convince you. He weaves in silence. He prepares in the shadows. He adjusts in the invisible what your heart will one day call destiny. You did not see this encounter coming. You could not have foreseen it, because it does not come from your imagination, nor from your human efforts. It comes from the invisible, where Allah places His secrets, His promises, His gifts. There are connections that don't happen by chance. They are souls that were connected long before the first glance, long before the first prayers, long before you even knew what you wanted. Allah already knew, and what you take for an empty wait is actually a divine process. You think you're waiting for your moment, but in truth, it's your moment waiting for you to be exactly where Allah wants you to be. Every silence, every closed door, every distance, every solitude wasn't a divine oversight, but a strategic move so that you would arrive exactly where the encounter was meant to take place. And then one day, everything begins to change. The air is different, your heart is calm, your thoughts become silent, and what you were waiting for arrives without warning, because Allah's decree doesn't need your calendar. He doesn't need your level of preparation. He just needs to say kun, and what seemed distant suddenly becomes close. And perhaps you are here today because the time is approaching. Perhaps these words are the last gentle stirring before the promise takes shape, because before Allah sends, He prepares hearts to receive. And if you feel that gentle stirring, that thrill in your soul, it's not an illusion, it's an echo of the unseen. You won't need to force it nor search for it. What comes from Him finds you, without compromise, without confusion, just a deep peace, as if your soul were whispering, "It's finally here." 2. Signs that don't lie. Anyone can encounter someone, but not everyone encounters what has been decreed to last. So how do you know if this person, this presence, this new energy truly comes from Allah? There are signs, not dreams or fantasies, but spiritual realities that impose themselves on your heart with unusual clarity. 1. Peace in your heart despite the uncertainty. You may not yet understand all the details, but deep inside you, you feel a calm that you cannot explain. No agitation, no anxiety, no mental racing, just tranquility. And this peace is a sign because Allah does not send confusion with what comes from Him. He sends a sakina, that profound peace that depends neither on circumstances nor immediate responses. 2. Your dua becomes more specific without you realizing it. There was a time when you asked, "Oh Allah, grant me someone good." But now your supplication has a name, a face, an emotional color. You begin to mention qualities you wouldn't have even considered before because your heart is guided. Allah even directs your words when He wants you to recognize what He is giving you. 3. Sudden detachments from the wrong people. You no longer feel the need to respond, to fight for what was never healthy. This isn't arrogance, it's clarity. Allah removes what prevents your heart from receiving. He purifies the spiritual space around you, sometimes shattering what you thought was essential, just to make room for what is truly intended for you. 4. A new energy to become a better version of yourself. He or she doesn't push you into sin. He or she doesn't disturb you. On the contrary, your discipline increases. Your intentions become purer. You want to be better, not to impress, but because your soul feels that this encounter deserves you to live up to it. And this sudden desire for inner growth is not insignificant. It's a spiritual mechanism activated by the proximity of a divine qadar. 5. You feel your heart fall silent when you think of this person, as if your soul is saying, finally. It's not euphoria, it's not blind attachment. It's a kind of silence that only those who have been tired of searching can recognize, a deep calm, a gentle certainty, as if your heart has stopped racing. So yes, there are signs. And no, it's not a coincidence. When Allah sends you something, He doesn't leave your heart in chaos. He sends confirmations that only hearts connected to Him can perceive. And if you are experiencing these signs, even partially, don't trivialize them, because sometimes the answer you're waiting for doesn't shout. It whispers. 3. The test of patience. You prayed hard. You cried in solitude when no one was there. You sometimes even tried to hide your pain behind smiles, thinking it would pass. But deep down, there was this emptiness, this deep hollow that no one could truly fill. And you asked yourself, has Allah forgotten me? What you didn't know was that every silence from Allah hides wisdom. What you took for rejection was actually preparation. Your heart needed to be broken, not to punish you, but so that it could learn to rebuild itself around Him, not around someone else. You needed to be alone to face yourself, not to humiliate yourself, but so that you realize that nothing and no one can complete you except the one who created you. The tears weren't a failure. They were a language between you and heaven, a language no one else heard but Allah. He listened to you. You see, Allah never forgets a sincere heart, but He shapes it, and He knows that love given too soon can become a distraction, an unhealthy attachment, a deviation from the path. So He delays, not to make you suffer, but to teach you patience, to wait in alignment, to trust without seeing. You may have seen others get married. You've seen smiles that didn't resemble yours. You've seen paths that never crossed yours. And you asked yourself, why me? Why not again? But now, look closely. Your heart has changed. You no longer seek out of need. You no longer pray in panic. You have returned to the source. And this is where the story begins. For Allah was waiting for this moment, the moment when your heart would no longer be chained to human expectations, the moment when you would say, "O Allah, I am ready to receive, but only what you have chosen for me." And it is in this submission, in this spiritual maturity, that the not yet begins to become a now. Nothing has been wasted, no tear was wasted. Even your impatience yesterday was part of the process. Allah saw you in your weakness, and He guided you to a gentle, stable, peaceful strength. And now your heart is ready, not perfect, but ready. And Allah, in His mercy, never forgets a heart that returns to Him. What you've been waiting for may well knock on your door when you least expect it, but your heart will know. It will recognize what comes from Him, because this time it won't be a test. It will be a gift. 4. The moment when everything changes. You won't see it coming. It won't be a day marked on your calendar. It won't be after a celestial sign or a voice falling from the sky. It will be an ordinary day. Ordinary, almost too simple to contain a miracle. But that will be the day your qadar takes human form, You will get up as usual, perhaps tired, perhaps even distracted. The sun won't shine any brighter than usual, and yet the universe will already be changing its language around you. You will have no warning, no strange shivers, no exaggerated foreboding, just an encounter, a look, a voice, a presence, and your heart will recognize what your mind hasn't even analyzed yet. You'll feel a break in time, as if everything stops. The turmoil in your head will quiet down. Yesterday's wounds will fade. Everything inside you will say, "Wait, this is different." And at that moment, there will be no more need for convincing, no more need to ask yourself 1,000 questions. The certainty will be gentle, natural, silent. It might be in an innocuous place, a mosque, a cafe, a street. It won't be the place that matters. It will be what your heart feels at that precise moment, like a reminder from the beyond. As if Allah, in His perfect wisdom, had given you a signal. Look carefully. This is the moment. This is the person. And you'll think about everything you've been through, the disappointments, the breakups, the long nights of supplication. And you will understand, nothing was unnecessary, nothing was superfluous. Everything was preparation, a divine training, a subtle way of bringing you to this precise moment, this moment when your heart has become stable enough to bear what comes from Allah. Because it's not just a love story, it's a trust, an amana, a portion of your destiny that finally descends into your life after a long wait. And that's when you will understand the beauty of Allah's timing. He never gives too soon. He never leaves you in a vacuum. He watches you. He shapes you. And when your heart is ready, He delivers without noise, without drama, just with heavenly precision. It won't be a surprise. It will be an answer. And your only reaction might be to close your eyes for a moment and say in your heart, Ya Allah. 5. Stay in the position of active waiting. You didn't wait to suffer. You didn't wait for time to consume you. You waited to build yourself. You waited because something inside you knew it wasn't a useless void. It was a call to preparation, because what you're waiting for won't come to a sleepy heart. It won't fall into a passive life. Allah doesn't send His gifts where negligence has taken root. Do you want Him to send you your person, your qadar? Then stand firm, stay active in your faith, stay in a waiting that prays, a waiting that purifies itself, a waiting that builds. Every prayer you offer with sincerity is a seed. Every time you hold your tongue from complaining, it's a step toward maturity. Every time you purify your intention, leave the past behind, move forward, even when you don't understand, you invite what is meant for you to find you. Because Allah does not give in vain, He gives with weight, with meaning, with timing. And when He decides to honor you, it is never discreet. It's clear, it's powerful, it's irreversible. You will no longer need to chase after answers. You will no longer have to insist, to force, to prove. What comes from Allah is imposed by His peace, not by struggle. And even if the world doubts, even if people don't understand, even if some laugh or judge, your heart will know, because your heart will have learned to recognize the trace of its Creator. So stay in this posture, not a posture of passive waiting, not a posture of emotional survival, but an active waiting, a living faith, a life ready. Make yourself beautiful inside for what you are waiting for, not to impress, but to be aligned with what Allah has prepared. Don't neglect the small efforts. Don't minimize the silent invocations, the invisible sacrifices, the renunciations that no one sees. All this is your way of saying, "Oh Allah, I don't know when, but I am ready." And it is this posture that heaven recognizes. Because what is coming to you is not a coincidence. It is not a sudden miracle. It is a promise written in your life before you even understood what love is. So get up every day as if it were today. Love Allah more than you desire this person. And when the time comes, you will see. You won't run towards this gift. It will be the gift that comes to you. If, while listening to this message, your heart has reacted, even a little, even silently, then don't ignore it. Perhaps Allah has just given you a spiritual wink. Perhaps what you have always awaited is closer than you think. Continue to pray, purify your intention, and trust in your Lord. And above all, remain attentive to the signs. Because sometimes the final confirmation doesn't come through words, but through a deep alignment between your heart and the divine plan. If you think this message was meant for you, like, share, and leave a comment with your thoughts. You never know. Maybe your future begins with this simple action.